Well, the good news is that everybody loves a Spitfire. Hello and welcome, my dear skip modelers, to my small hobby YouTube channel. My name is Tomo and today we're going to be reviewing an Mk.IX Spitfire. Before we begin with this video, I would like to say a couple of things. First of all, timestamps are in the video description as well as in the timestamp of this video, so you can jump on ahead to the section that you would like to see first. Second, if you are in the market for a new model, accessory to a model, or tools, please visit scalemodelshq.com, where you can use my code MSH to get yourself a cool 10% discount at your next purchase. And if you've missed my previous video of the Focke-Wulf D, click up here to get the video. Lastly, if you like the content and the videos that I make, please give me a like, share, and subscribe this video with many of your friends. You'll help me out a bunch. Now it's back to the regular programming. Alright, so the Spitfire F Mk.IX. What is it all about? It's a EDUARD model kit in 1/48 scale weekend edition. This particular example, an F Mk.IX series, is the first of the 9 series, and it was basically based on the Mark V-B. It retained many of the features of its predecessor, including the larger blisters over the cannon bays. These were intended to accommodate 20mm cannons each. Now that is a pretty heavy armament for this airplane, and most of them flew with just one, with the other cannon bay closed and was either removed, but most of them had their outer cannon bays empty, with the aerodynamical cover over them. And you'll see this clearly in this version of the Spitfire, where you actually can either chop it off or close it off like it was intended to. Now let's look inside the box and see what's what. Welcome back to the review portion of the video. This is the EDUARD Spitfire F Mk.IX, model number 84175 in 1/48 scale in their new rebox design. The model kit offers its maker 4 different paint schemes and 4 different markings. And if anybody's interested, the box size is 38 by 23 by 4.5 centimeters. In other words, a very appropriate box for the plane and the size. Everything inside is well packed inside plastic bags individually, and it makes for a tight and secure packaging, which means that the parts are not going to be broken and shaken during transport. Inside the box you get sprues, a decal sheet of paper, and the instruction manual. Note that not all the parts that you see here on display are going to be used in the final build. That's because EDUARD usually gives you way more parts than you need. That's because of the way the parts are assembled. So refer to the manual to see which parts are going to be left out of the build. And when examining the sprues themselves, your eye is immediately drawn to the wing surfaces, the fuselage, and all the little small parts that make up the airplane. Sharp, not too shallow when it comes to panel gaps, and all the important surface detail that make up the aircraft are perfectly and faithfully recreated. Again, please bear in mind that not all the parts that you're seeing on the screen right now are a part of the build. That's because when I was filming this, I wasn't bothered to look inside the manual, so I filmed them anyway because they're pretty. And do you blame me? Just look at the level of detail on even the smallest parts, such as these cockpit elements of the seat, or covers for the machine guns that are not used, or the radiator grille that you don't even see when it's assembled, or the propeller, which is immaculate and has no flash lines. Anyway, the level of detail is absolutely insane, just like you are used to when you open an EDUARD kit. There is hardly any flash, and the attachment points are okay, but for some parts they could be better. The plastic itself is nice and soft, and it's not typical EDUARD plastic. For those of you out there who are regular EDUARD builders will know what I'm talking about. The plastic more resembles an Tamiya type of kit, which is not bad at all. Even though this is classified as a weekend build, like an easy build, it is packed full of detail, so even a beginner will be able to assemble this one without any big problems. There is, however, a lot of parts. In my estimation, around 200-ish, but if you don't count all the parts that are not part of the build, then the part count goes around 150, maybe 160, but I didn't count. When it comes to clear parts sprue, EDUARD gives you this rather typical rounded sprue that contains all the glass elements for the airplane, and they're not all used. Some of them are just there because they're probably used in other versions, but nevertheless, every single piece here is absolutely clear and no distortions whatsoever. When it comes to decals, EDUARD delivers in spades. The print is sharp, very clear, fine, and no distortions whatsoever, even on the smallest of the smallest details, as you will see in a minute when we go very close and personal with the text, like here on the wing surfaces, on the fuselage, where you have all the warning signs. When I zoom in, you'll see that every single letter is very well seen and can be read, even the smallest ones that make up the markings. And this is where some other manufacturers do struggle a bit. And onwards to the all-important manual. In the second page you'll see the blew out parts which are not used, and there are quite few of them. As for the build itself, as you can see, it's pretty straightforward, with the cockpit elements first, then the fuselage, and of course the wing surfaces and the tail, and basically a typical airplane, a typical Edward build. The manual is well designed, but on certain pages it feels like you're rushing through the build process, and I think that it could have been stretched out a little more just to make it a less cluttery, but nevertheless, it's not a bad colored, well, semi-colored manual. And that is the end of this review. Thank you so very much for watching. If you have been, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, and I'll see you again soon in the next one. Bye bye.